voice of the Riders. All right, David. A lot of people yesterday, it's like, oh no, not another offensive lineman. Jacob Brammer, no, what happened? Was he on the field today? Give people an update.
Jacob Brammer was not on the field today. He was on the field yesterday, just tweaked his back a little bit. So he didn't practice today. I don't think there's any need to be jumping off the deep end here. Again, yeah, it sucks that somebody got nicked up, but it's not a long-term injury by any stretch of the imagination.
The tweaking of the back happens probably more than we think. It happens hey boys, we're in that age where any bad move out of a vehicle, sitting too long on a flight the wrong way, things tweak. I wonder, are we at the point though that we are being really, really cautious with anything on that offensive line?
I think with anyone. They're being conscious with anyone. So if anybody tweaked their back, they're going to go ahead and they're going to give themselves a day. Nick Weeb tweaked his back, so he didn't practice today. Again, it is week 1 of a long regular season, so you want to go into it as healthy as you can, and you want to maintain your health. So you got a bit of a tweak. Why force it? So I don't think there's anything to be worried about. Jacob Brammer didn't miss any time, any reps throughout the entire training camp. He is ready to go.
Coach Mace, he gave an update today on Jacob Brammer.
Yeah, he just being smart here. You know, he did just little tweak yesterday, so we're just being smart with it so he can be available for game day.
There we go. Just being smart for game day. And Dave, you know better than anyone, right? Like Thursday's going to come like that. Like you're probably already prepping and you're working and you're grinding because things are short here.
Oh, it's a quick turnaround. Absolutely. I thought you said you know better than anyone when it comes to tweaking your back. Yes, I did it tying my shoes, but
you need
moving
loafers.
Forward.
Plain and simple.
You need those Skechers like Troy Aikman has, where you just like step into them. You don't even need to bend down. My father-in-law has a pair. They are actually pretty badass. I would say he doesn't bend down. He just slides his foot in and they actually work.
Or I'm sure the Rider store has a nice shoehorn. Shoehorns are underutilized in this day and age. Remember back in the day?
It's got to be the long one though, so you don't have to bend over.
Our dads, how many shoehorns was kicking around your house when you were a kid?
Yeah. 20.
No, exactly. Okay,
it's like
Dave.
Clothespins and shoehorns.
No.
Long lost.
It's a short week, right? Like, yeah.
Well, what you're talking about here is you're talking about contingency plans, right? And there is a big contingency plan in Peyton Collins. Yes, he's a rookie. He played at Eastern Kentucky, 6'7", 300-some pounds. He is a big man, but he's a mobile man. He even played some tight end in college. So the Riders are happy with him, and they've got a lot of confidence in him.
Collins has had an excellent camp, man, and, we want to make sure that, if Jacob's not practicing, that we get quality reps with guys who have potential. I mean, that's just one of the combos that we put out there today. So, he's been, there's a reason he's here, man. We had a lot of offensive tackles in camp, and he showed well from rookie camp.
Yeah, so we're going to hear from Peyton Collins here in just a few seconds. But he's one guy, Dave, that I remember early in rookie camp that you brought up, and because he caught your eye.
Yeah, well, Luke loved him instantaneously. Yes. Big Red is what the nickname is for Peyton Collins. Of course, he's a redhead. So Luke just loved the way that he showed. He was ferocious when he got into the one-on-one battles. He seemed to know where he needed to be. You liked his footwork, and that was echoed by the coaches. So he just did all the right things to earn himself a roster spot.
Let's hear from Big Red.
Well, they say that versatility is a great ability, and you've shown that thus far. Tell me what you do to make sure that you're prepared for all the positions you played along the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just watching all the vets before me and them helping me out a lot, and just during film, I'm watching each position and making sure I know what to do at each position so I can help the team no matter what position I'm in.
So this is your initiation to Canadian football. How has that gone thus far? There's a lot of different nuances.
No, it's definitely a little bit different, but I feel like I'm getting used to it more and more every day. And again, just learning from all the guys that are here before me and stuff, and they've been a great help. So I'm really loving it a lot so far. Yeah.
Talking to the defensive line, they talk about that yard off the line of scrimmage being the biggest adjustment. Same thing for an offensive lineman?
Yeah, I think so for sure. And also the 3 downs instead of 4 downs is a little bit different too, because it's a little faster. Once you're on 2nd down, you got to get it or you're off the field. So that's a little bit of adjustment too.
How about getting in and out of the huddle?
Yeah, play clock's definitely a little faster, so you got to hear the play, get to the line, make your calls a lot quicker too, because the game moves a lot faster. So that's definitely an adjustment as well.
Tell me the difference of tackle and guard. You've been rotating in and around both positions for most of camp.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is in the pass game, because tackle, you got a lot more space, and you're usually on an island sometimes as well, and then guard, everything happens a lot faster, especially in the run game as well. So, yeah.
You never want to get an opportunity at the expense of another player, but you've earned your opportunity according to coach. What does that make you feel when you hear that?
Obviously it's nice to hear, but I'm just trying to, keep working hard and get better every day. And whenever my number is called, I'm ready to help the team however I can.
So far, so good. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Sounds like a great guy.
Yeah.
And Maz, what's are you overreacting still after hearing from Big Red? Or Big Red can handle some things for us?
Listen, if the most confusing situation with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, being a fan, was just trying to figure out if we're going to have a punter on Thursday, who that might be, and the cuts, that I can deal with that all day long. Anytime it's like offensive line, I'm like, no, anywhere else. And Dave, can we go back to, because this is our first show since the cuts were made on the weekend. There are a lot of weird things came out. Our punting situation, the Herdman Reeds are gone, and then some other players. Let's start punter. So Joe Couch, who punted in the preseason game on Friday, I thought he punted well. Did he not, or was I missing it? Like I thought he was okay, but then did he end up on the practice roster or the suspended list when the cuts were made?
So he ended up on the practice roster. Pardon me. Sorry, I had to take a moment to think about that. But going back to the game, yeah, I thought he performed well. Right, he got some distance on the football. I'm not sure if the placement was. I wasn't privy to that conversation. If he put the ball where they wanted it to, but he definitely got some hang time and some distance for sure. And he held the ball well for Brett Lother.
Okay, but then when the cuts were made, Bailey Flint was put on the suspended list, and then he's since been cut as of today, correct?
Yeah, no, he's been released. He was suspended initially, but again, whatever happened in the background caused for him to be released, so he'll be seeking another opportunity.
All right, and we have some audio on Coach Mace talking about that.
We want to make sure, and we've got some other competition out there. Myself, if you see me punting, I'm pretty sweet. Sam Emelis has a good leg, but we got one in the building, and we're happy. We're happy with Joe, obviously, to keep him around. So we'll see how it shakes out game day.
Okay, I'm glad that we're yucking it up, and it would be funny to see Mace out there punting. That would be like, all right, well, it's Saskatchewan. Everybody has to play a role.
One bar. With the one bar helmet.
Nice. Yeah. and then going
someone
downfield
Photoshop
and making
that together, send it to us.
Yeah. And then he turns into Jamie Borum, where he runs down and makes the tackle and just destroys a guy. Borum was the best. So does that mean they brought in somebody else to punt and he was there today? We don't know who it is. Does that mean Couch is going to be the punter for Thursday? Because that clip didn't solve anything for me. What's happening on Thursday?
Right now, the one option that you have is to move Joe Couch from the practice roster up onto the active roster, as no other punters are on the roster. Now, today, he was only messing around, and I preface this, do not quote me on this, don't take this to the bank. Brett Lother punted a couple of balls today. Now, the guy's got a boomer of a leg, but he is not going to do both. No, stop, Maz. Stop.
Running.
Stop before we start. He was just out there.
SportsCage.com headline, breaking news, sign up for the email. Dave Thomas breaks Brett Lother punting
No,
Thursday.
he just was kicking the football a couple of times and punting. Joe Couch will be the punter right now, unless something changes between now and Thursday. But as of now, it would be Joe Couch. However, in the clip that you heard Coach May saying, Samuel Emelis is a really good kicker. Like, he really is. Now, he's going to keep catching the ball because that's what we pay him to do. But if something happened, Samuel Emilus could fill in if we needed.
Emilus and Lawther.
Yeah. No.
There
Do
it
not
is.
start. Do not start.
Hey, you know,
Well, you shouldn't have said anything because now you know we're going to run.
No, that's we get it, Dave. We're not going to run with it. Hey, you know what we haven't seen in the CFL in a long time is when the punter runs down and tracks down the punt. Remember,
Yeah.
like that used to be a thing all the time.
Jamie Borum used to be really good at that, and he would destroy guys making tackles too. Borum, I think, was the last aggressive kicker the Riders had that would try and track down punts.
I think maybe the coaching has got a lot better, where you got to be Hawkeye on that punter if he wants to sneak down and steal the eggs. But you haven't seen that. I thought about that last year watching some games. I'm like, somebody should run down and track that down. But I think the coaching is so much better.
Well, here's a fun one for you. You know the little play that the Montreal Alouettes would love to do on 2nd and long where they'd punt the ball forward and then they'd jump on it to get a new set of downs?
Yep.
It's been discussed, kind of like the tush push in the NFL, right? So should we ban this play? And it wasn't split. It wasn't. It was overwhelmingly in favor of keeping that. The coaches, when they get into these rooms, I had the opportunity to sit in on a CFL meeting and just observe and listen, right? And the coaches overwhelmingly in the Canadian Football League want to make sure that it stays true to its roots. So, for example, removing the rouge. No, coaches want it. Coaches believe that's part of the Canadian game. They want it left in. Feel free to discuss amongst yourselves, but that's where the coaches and that's where the direction of the CFL is at right now.
You shouldn't be able to win a game on a rouge. That's my take. Just mine.
You don't mind the rouge until you lose a football game on it, to Barney's point. The rouge, it's fine until you lose because of that. Can we go back to the cuts for a second? The Herdman Reed brothers, for whatever reason, but then also you can get to that. Oh, let's talk Herdman Reeds, and then I want to talk Braxton Hill. So the Herdman Reeds, did they come into camp, both of them late for some reason, but then they were both released? Like they didn't do it. Do the Riders have enough Canadian depth on the defense and on the teams to get rid of both of them?
Riders have a lot of depth, right? And I'm not privy to be inside the dressing room, but here's what I can tell you. From what I could see from a distance, and to quote my good friend Luke Mullender, Father Time is undefeated. Both of them are 8-year pros. Both of them had been in the Canadian Football League for a while. Both of them were basically playing on special teams. You'd get the odd rotation here and there on the defensive side, but mostly special teams. The Riders have a bunch of young players that they brought in that can play special teams, right? So, again, I don't know why the decision was made, if it was performance, if it was business, if it was a combination of both. But at the end of the day, there were some young players on the Saskatchewan Roughriders team that proved that they can play special teams and take and fill those roles. And that's why the Herdman Reeds became expendable.
One player that I thought looked like he was around the ball a lot in Winnipeg. Now that sometimes that's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but on Friday night, I really like Braxton Hill in the game he was playing. He just a good prototypical linebacker. He didn't make the cut. He didn't get put on the practice roster. Did he impress you as well?
He was our defensive game star. 4 tackles in the football game. He was flying around, so maybe that's a curse being the defensive game star. I'm not sure, but he had a good camp, a solid camp. But you look at the linebacking core that was already in place, right? You got to beat somebody out for the job. And again, it is so deep. And I think that speaks to the depth of the linebackers that the team has put together. I think it's a positive that, again, if Braxton Hill, as well as he played, wasn't good enough to make the roster, then I think that speaks volumes for the guys that did.
We have Coach Mace talking about today. He was working with the D-line and a chance to teach. And Dave, you had a chance to ask him what that was like.
Yeah, that was, I think it was just me trying to figure out something to do. I just, you miss it. You miss that. But it was good, just working on some stuff that, I think we can continue to get better at. And, it's, Coach Phil and I see everything dang near the exact same. But, he was just nice enough to let me do something today. So, once in a while, try to get in with some position groups and do a little bit. But, yeah, it was just fun.
Do you guys got anything more on the defense? Because I want to shift and ask about a question, or ask about a guy. Dave?
All I'll say is that just to provide some context to that clip today, if you've ever been a head coach in any sport, right, you don't get to usually go and just focus your sole attention on one aspect of the team. And today, Coach Mace was able to do that with the defensive line, and he was doing it. And you could just see that, I get to go and teach some stuff again. And it was pretty cool what he was showing the D line.
Guy wants to punt. He's going to coach the defensive line, and who knows what's next for Mace. The one guy when things were released, and I know we are somewhat, I guess, deep when it comes to receiver, was Missouri, and how much hype we had about him. Kind of recency bias, so right, like the last week, 10 days, 2 weeks, like we were really, really high on him, and he looked good, and Luke thought he looked good, and you thought he looked good. Is that just a numbers thing? And maybe why not the practice roster for him, Dave?
Numbers. All the way around numbers. You can only keep so many guys on your practice roster, right? And you can't keep 12 or 10 receivers on the practice roster, because then you don't have depth at other positions. So when it came to Braden Missouri, he was battling with Deshaun Mims, with Daniel Weeb, when you're looking at that Canadian depth, right? Because Mitch Picton was in that battle, as was Del Duncan Busby. And then, of course, you've got Kean Schaefer-Baker and Samuel Elmalis. So there's some pretty talented Canadian receivers right there. And solely numbers game. Again, we talked about it during the broadcast, and the fact that you want to go out there and play to make them cut you so that you don't cut yourself. And that's what Braden Missouri did. He played well enough that he made the coaches have to make a decision on him.
You mentioned Daniel Weeb. Now, Seth Hundeby had already declared before training camp he's going back to play for the Huskies. But Daniel Weeb, that was a different story, right? So when I saw him on the retired list, like, he's going back to school. But he was trying to make the club, right? Like, if he makes the club, school's out, correct?
From my understanding, if he had made the club, he was not going back to the University of Saskatchewan. However, it's always great to have options, right? We tell our kids that all the time, and those were the options that Daniel Weeb had, as he still have 1 year of eligibility left at the U Sports level, so he can go back, develop for another year under Scott Flory and Mason Nias' offense, and then give her another shot next year.
I love it. Van Wilder, go back. Soak in as much university as you can.
Take one class per semester. Make sure it's online with 0 assignments to hand in. Make sure it's a football booster that's teaching it, so that's even easier or whatever. And just be like, and then after football's over, just drop out.
What's that big lawn called in the middle of the U of S? Not the Commons.
No.
You're talking to 3 dudes that didn't go there, never graduated from there, all right?
I used to go hang out there like I did. I used to go throw the football around.
Sure.
It wasn't the bowl.
You were trying to be Van Wilder. Yeah.
Might have been the bowl, Dave. Might have been the bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that's and that's something that we kind of I really just learned in the last few days, that he had the option to go back. Prairie Land Rentals text line, Terry in Montana. He said Alex Gubner's status. He was released. Terry in Montana, unfortunately. He is Montana Grizz alum. So just an update there for you.
Yeah, unfortunately for Alex, he banged up his leg, right? So he was in a walking boot for the last week or so. So that kind of hurt his chances of making the club. But he made a good impression, so you never say never, right?
Is there one big surprise when it was released, like that jumped out at you right away? Was it the Herdman Reed for me? Like I said, it was Missouri. Yeah,
Missouri, a little bit. Maybe Trent Penix. I wondered about Penix, just as how he would fit in, just because he was able to play. He did play special teams, but then he didn't get any carries in that second preseason game. So maybe the writing was on the wall a little bit for him. But again, I know he showed really, really well. So I would say maybe he was one of the bigger surprises, perhaps.
Maz, anyone jumps off to you?
Maybe not necessarily for the Riders, but when you saw some of the other cuts around the league, and I had said this before, I loved Kadeem Carey when he was a Calgary Stampeder, and then when he became available and went to Toronto, I'm like, I'd love to see that guy in green and white. Then he gets released by Toronto, and I know that Mario Anderson is on the practice roster as the backup running back, and AJ is the starter. But if Kadeem Carey is available, and this is all about stacking wins and trying to get to a Grey Cup, he runs hard, and he'd be familiar with Mace, because Mace would have coached him in Toronto, would he not? Like, they would have crossed paths somewhere along the way. So out of all of the guys that were cut all across the CFL, Kadeem Carey is on my wish list of, if he shows up in town, will not be disappointed.
Interesting. It's a deep running back room, though, and again, it's got to be a fit, right? And I think Kadeem Carey, the only experience that he would have with the coaching staff would be Mark Mueller when he was in Calgary. Sure. I don't think he would have been there for Mace in Toronto.
But really, is it like Mario Anderson's a rookie? And I'm surprised when Anderson fumbled on Friday night. I thought, because that for a lot of guys, you're cut, dinner on Delta, you're out of here. When you fumble a ball like that, getting close to the score zone, and then they pick it up and run it back, for a lot of guys, I thought instantly, I'm like, oh, that dude's done. Yeah. Like, you can't make those mistakes. You can't.
If you're good enough, you can.
If you buy yourself, right, you can afford yourself through training camp. You can go ahead, absolutely, right? You build up that credibility, right? So you build up your credits, and you maybe spilled a couple on that one.
You know who I would like, maybe, and I don't know enough. I'm not in the locker room. I don't know the attitudes of guys, but because he has an awesome name, Walter Fletcher from Montreal. You know why? Yeah. Because he had I think close to 700 yards out of the catching the ball last year, and then close to 800 rushing. That dual threat. That's maybe a guy I would like. Again, I don't know Walter. Great handle, but that's a guy I would look.
Is he an upgrade from AJ Ouellette? I don't know. I don't think so. I would put now the way that AJ Ouellette has played, and again, everybody says, but he's got to stay healthy. You know what? He predominantly has been healthy through his career. Last year was a year that he wants to have back. He can't. He can't fix that, but he looks great.
Yeah. To my point, Mario Anderson, who's nothing against him, Kadeem Carey's played in the league, 5 years? He's won a Grey Cup. He's played in cold weather. Same thing with Walter Fletcher. Same thing. It's proven if you're going to need to have depth, just a guy in waiting, somebody with a pedigree, and I get it, somebody that makes $70,000 on a rookie contract, and somebody that's probably going to make $110,000 because he's a vet.
Yeah,
that's where the business of football comes in, and I totally get that. But if salary cap is of no concern, because I'm a fan, I don't have to play by the numbers. We just know what we want. I think if he wants Fletcher, I want Carey. There we are. That's the worst Photoshop job, I think, in 2025.
If you're watching the stream,
that's awful.
That
is terrible.
Okay, Dave, I know we got some audio from you to run later. Thanks so much for this. Go get some rest. It is a short week for you. Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. Have a good one, guys.